There's a lot of like yelling and banging down the door and
Like knocking, this is the FBI, or like...
no, like a battering ram.
In a stunning turn, that CEO coming face-to-face with federal agents as they raided his New York City apartment Wednesday morning.
Shayne Coplan made a risky bet when he built Polymarket in 2020. He did it fast, in just 3 months, and didn't seek regulatory approval as the law required.
You grew up the west side.
Uptown, yeah.
Uptown.
He dropped out of NYU his freshman year, and when COVID hit, found himself looking for simple answers to complex questions.
I got into Ethereum really when it started. And I always thought the best use case was that you could spin up markets for new things in a really cheap way. Where before, to create a new market was like, extremely elaborate process.
I was already very passionate about prediction markets, information markets, decision markets, futarchy. I'd read all these academic papers about it.
The genesis of Polymarket is so deeply intertwined with all the reading I did of Robin Hanson's literature, where he would talk about idea futures and decision markets and futarchy and these crazy ideas that markets were actually the best information source. And even going deeper than that, it's also one of my favorite essays is The Use of Knowledge in Society by Friedrich Hayek. And I always practically found looking at markets like as something that was super cool to derive insights from, whether it was the stock market or like long tail at bookmakers' odds.
Ultimately, there would be no prediction markets if I didn't go, as you said today, if I wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go experiment with this and build a new user experience and figure it out.
I was interested in blockchains. I got into Ethereum really when it started. And I always thought the best use case was that you could spin up markets for new things. The vision, in some ways, was the theory was very much spelled out for me in the literature. And I had the product vision, and it's really just been executing it.
What is Polymarket?
It's a site where you can basically bet on current events. Some sort of question about the future, like an election. And as a result, when a ton of people are betting, you get the betting odds, which basically tell you how likely each outcome is.
I have no money. I'm super passionate about this. I know I can build the thing. Let me go for it, because it was the thing that I found my deepest source of intellectual curiosity. And at the onset of the pandemic, no one had really built what you could think of as like a decentralized prediction market where you could create markets on new things. And I was like, hey, I have no money. I'm super passionate about this. I know I can build the thing.
New York City was shut down. And it's like, when is this going to end? When's the vaccine going to be ready? When is shelter in place going to be over? And prediction markets can take all these disparate opinions that people are pontificating about or that they have really good reason to believe and distill it down into one probability.
It felt like in the pandemic, I mean, not uniquely in the pandemic, but it's a time when a lot of information that you're picking up is like spin, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's political spin, or it's medical spin, or it's spin prevent disinformation or whatever else.
You make money if you're right, you lose money if you're wrong. And as a result, it creates this information that's really useful for people.
How many questions are there at any one time?
It usually fluctuates around 10,000, but a lot of them
10,000?
But a lot of them have multiple outcomes or multiple variations.
This is predictions on who will be the top Spotify artist in 2025.
Yeah, and the market's very confident it will be Bad Bunny. The market was pricing it that it was unlikely, but that it was possible. And ultimately, during the debate, the price started skyrocketing.
You could watch it during the debate.
Exactly. And everyone was talking about it. But the fact that Polymarket was able to be the signal through the noise there was our first step on the scene of mainstream politics. The percentage of people who are going to vote for a candidate is not the same as who's likely to win. And you would look at Polymarket and it would say 70-30 for Trump. And people are like, no way it's going to be 70-30. But he could win by 1 point, but he's 70% likely to win.
Which is a different question that pollsters are asking.
Exactly. But it's the question people actually want to know.
And if you make money, they can kick you off, and that they can profile you as a user and change the prices based on you. Like, that's a scam. Nobody is under the impression that nobody knows the answer.
People say breaking the law, it's like, which law, So if anything, it's incompatible, with the regulatory matrix that existed.
The regulatory matrix was pretty clear. U.S. customers couldn't trade on Polymarket, but plenty continued to. All they needed was a VPN connection to mask their computer's location.
There's a lot of like yelling and banging down the door and
Like knocking, this is the FBI, or like...
no, like a battering ram.
In July, the government dropped its investigations, and Polymarket was able to buy a fully licensed, legally compliant trading platform, paving the way for their U.S. customers to bet openly.
He said, you should reach out to Shayne. He's a great guy. He's building something revolutionary, and I think he could use your help, because a few years earlier, I was falsely accused of something and was raided by the FBI.
The impetus for this deal is I actually love watching UFC. And unlike a lot of the other sports, there's no scoreboard. Obviously, someone gets knocked out. That's a W. But other than that, you kind of have to discern what the judge is going to say. It's not that easy. And this idea of looking at Polymarket while you would watch the fight just made it so more engaging.
Talk about Polymarket's kind of like become the Bloomberg terminal for reality almost.
And I need help navigating that, right? I'm a young entrepreneur. If I have people who believe in what I do, who understand how politics works and can help guide me and teach me, there's nothing wrong about that.
It's really just been executing it and overcoming the challenges on the way to getting not just to where we are today, but to where we're going tomorrow.
It's the most accurate thing we have as mankind right now, until someone else creates some sort of super crystal ball.